Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 34 of the Bandwagon Hockey Podcast. I'm being a little bit quiet because it is 10:30 Eastern Time as we record this. My roommate is asleep, and it is Thanksgiving morning, which is kind of weird. I don't know about you, Ryan, but when I was younger, Thanksgiving, I always was obsessed with Thanksgiving, and we get so excited for the dinners and stuff. And now as an adult, it's just like, oh, it's Thanksgiving. Like, that's cool, I guess. And especially for you, like, being out east and not being home for Thanksgiving, like, that's obviously even more of a deal. But, like, today, since I'm downtown now, it's 2 hours for me to get to Kingston, whereas it used to be, like, maybe an hour and 15 minutes for my dinners, and now it's 2 hours, and it's just like, I do not want to go today.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with that statement because, like, when I was younger, it just felt like another one of the holidays, right? Everyone gets together, but as you get older, it's just like, and now being like way far away from home, I'm like, damn, I just don't get a turkey dinner. That's about it.
Yeah. I wish Thanksgiving in Canada was taken as seriously as it's taken in the States.
Yeah.
In the States, it's low key, like, as big as Christmas. It's actually crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they get like the 4-day week. It might be bigger. It, like, legitimately.
Yeah.
And they get the whole 4-day weekend. We kind of just get the Monday slapped on the end, and most people are like done Thanksgiving by Monday. Like, I think a lot of people do it Sunday, and so then Monday is just like an extra day. Whereas in the States, you've got your Thanksgiving on Thursday, Black Friday, which is also a holiday, and then you've got the whole weekend after that. So I don't know. Thanksgiving's probably a touch early than what I'd prefer. Like, this year, it's been hot. It's been hot in the past on Thanksgiving, which is just not.
I've seen like
ideal.
the temperatures back in Ottawa. It's been like 30 or something this week.
It's been so hot all week. Today it's freezing. I think it's 10 degrees outside.
Yeah.
But like,
even here, it's been like almost 20 throughout the whole week.
Yeah.
It's odd.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. Thanksgiving's too early. It's not long enough of a weekend. It's not big enough of a deal. Let's switch it up. Let's follow our neighbors to the south with how we celebrate Thanksgiving. Anyway, we've got a hockey podcast to talk about, which also feels weird because it is the morning of Thanksgiving. So we're going to keep it quick. We're going to do a quick little predictions pod. We both whipped up our predictions about 10 minutes ago. So tons of thought put into these, but I don't know. I feel like over the course of the summer, everyone knows what their predictions are going to be, and it's just a matter of kind of jotting them out because everyone sort of has the same brain in terms of predicting the NHL season, I find.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to run through who we think is going to make the playoffs, who we don't think is going to make the playoffs. We'll do some seeding. We'll run through basically ranking each division, and then the playoff bracket for each of us will shake out the way our standings are listed off, and then we've each got a Final Four and a Stanley Cup champion, as well as a Stanley Cup Final matchup. And then we've got some awards that we'll race through. We'll talk about it. It doesn't sound like an exciting episode, but it was fun to do last year, so we're doing it again. So let's start us off in the East. Ryan, you do have your standings, right?
Yeah, I went by division, but you can kind of organize.
I went by division also. Okay. I also have division, so I was going to say we'll start in the East and we'll start in the Atlantic, where it looks like an absolute clusterfuck right now because you've got Ottawa without two of their top three centers, without their middle six centers. One of them is unsigned. One of them has some voodoo shoulder thing going on.
Mystery injury.
Probably won't get to. Tampa's all-world goaltenders out for the first 2 to 3 months. Buffalo's Buffalo. Florida has a ton of injuries. Boston just had everyone retire. And then there's the Leafs. And I kind of just listed off my reverse order for the division. So at number 1, I've got Toronto. Number 2, I got Boston. 3, Florida. Buffalo making the playoffs at 4. Tampa at 5, just missing the playoffs. Ottawa at 6. Detroit 7. And Montreal at 8. I feel like those bottom 2 are going to be very much the same for us. I'm curious to see how you have your top 6 ordered, though. So if you want to maybe roll that out.
Yeah, so pretty similar, except I am much lower on Florida, apparently. So I've got Toronto at the top, number 1. I've got Boston still number 2. I've got Tampa number 3. I got Ottawa number 4. Buffalo number 5. Florida number 6.
Florida at 6. Wow.
Detroit.
Okay.
in
I
7
just
and Montreal
my
in 8.
my thing with Florida at 3 is that sure, like Ekblad and Montour are out for the first few months, but they just seem like a team that's just able to plug and play.
Yeah, I get that, but like that defense is really scary when you
It's
look at the
so
numbers
bad.
on paper, and then
It's
you're
so
just
bad.
really relying on Bobrovsky to keep that
Which is
playoff
not a recipe,
going.
right? It's
No,
not a
it's really
recipe.
not.
And like
So
Spencer
that
Knight's
scares
starting
me.
out the season in the
Yeah,
AHL too, right? So their backup is whoever.
good question. Yeah.
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I'm excited to see what Matthew Tkachuk does again this year. I think
Hmm.
he'll be top 3 MVP again. I'm excited to see Barkov. He's had a quiet couple of seasons, but he's been performing at a really good pace. Like I think he's at a 100-point pace over the last 2 seasons combined. He's just missed games.
Hmm.
Like the forward core is all still there. It's just that D core is just completely wrecked between Montour and Ekblad.
Hmm. And
But
depending how fast they come back, like maybe the damage is minimal and they're still one of those top teams. I think right now with how much is going on in the Atlantic, like you alluded to, it's just a
it's true.
complete shit show, really.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. And looking at Ottawa, I think that's our other big discrepancy is that you have them at 4, and you said prior to starting that you were audibling them down, which means you probably had them at 3.
Yeah, I have them at
And
3.
now with Norris's injury, just nobody wants to say how bad or good it is. Well, it's not
Hmm.
good because he's not going to start the season. Shane Pinto is still unsigned, so they're kind of just like it just feels like the franchise is dicking around right now with their centers, which is
Hmm.
insane because
Like,
this is a team that cannot afford to get out to a bad start.
yeah, when I was like starting to put this list together, I guess earlier this week, I wanted to flirt with the idea of putting Ottawa 2, but like that felt way too homery, so I decided on 3. I felt good about it, and then as we progressed through the week, it's like okay, Pinto's still not signed, and now Norris is out indefinitely. I don't feel necessarily confident that they're a playoff team anymore up in those top 3. So, but we can
But you,
see how that shakes out with the rest of the East here too once we get to it.
yeah, it just feels like the East is so in limbo right now. You've got your,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, you've got your 3 teams at the top, like Carolina, New Jersey, and Toronto are going to be there,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, like who knows what Pittsburgh's going to look like. I'm high
Yeah.
on them coming into the year, but who knows what they're going to look like. Same goes for Boston and Florida because of retirements and injury. Although part of why I've got Florida as high as I do is because of what happened with Boston last year. I just feel like when you have that winning pedigree and like that sick core, no
Mm-hmm.
matter who is missing from it, the team is still able to push forward, which is what I'm kind of expecting Florida to do this year, similar to how Boston did last year without Marchand and McAvoy for the first couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone wrote off Boston,
Right.
right? And then they had the best regular season of all time, which is kind
Yeah.
of wild to say. So I kind of see that to a lesser extent with Florida. Um, but
That's
like
fair.
I would say outside of the top 3 teams in the East, like it's a complete crapshoot. Like the Rangers are old. All of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, the Rangers are
Like,
old.
yeah, 4 to 8, or sorry, 4 to even like 10. I feel like in
Yeah,
you could really give me any order and I'd be okay with it.
yeah. Okay, so with that being said, let's move over to the Metro. I've got Carolina at 1, New Jersey at 2, and then I feel like this division really starts at 3, where I've got the Penguins at 4. I've got the Rangers. Flip a coin, honestly, between the Rangers and Tampa getting in. I've got Buffalo getting in, and then Rangers and Tampa fighting for that 8th spot. I've
Mm.
got Washington at 5, Islanders at 6, Columbus and Philly at 7 and 8, respectively.
Okay. I think we only have one discrepancy then because
Okay.
I have Carolina 1, New Jersey 2, um, Rangers 3, Pittsburgh 4, Islanders 5, Capitals 6, Jackets 7, Flyers 8.
I think that's the exact same way that the division shook out this past season.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, like thinking
Oh,
of it, I think that's how it went. Um,
yeah. Well,
so
then I think they're going to run it back.
our difference is just Pittsburgh and Rangers swap, and then
Yeah.
you've got the Islanders ahead of the Capitals.
Oh, you still
Um,
had the Capitals ahead of the Islanders.
I had Washington at 5, Islanders at 6.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
the Islanders just hit the toilet this year. They're
Yeah, I think Sorokin might be able to get them close to the playoffs, but
true.
we'll see.
But no, again, like the division for this one like doesn't start until 3.
Yeah.
Carolina and New Jersey are going to be there. After that, who knows? Because Pittsburgh made the biggest out of the offseason, as we've discussed. I just don't know with the Rangers. I don't know if I trust them. A lot of people have been like talking about Artemi Panarin hitting a cliff here at some point in terms of like age and his performance. And then if the Rangers can get anything from Lafreniere and Capo, then like I'm kind of all in on the Rangers. But until those young guys actually show anything, I just don't love the idea anymore of relying on like a Trouba, Zibanejad. Oh, I guess Adam Fox is like 24, but like beyond Adam Fox and Shesterkin, I just don't love the Rangers.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I would have to look at all of their lineups kind of side by side again, but I just feel more confident in having Shesterkin and Fox as kind of like your game breakers over. I know it sounds stupid to say at this point, but like a Carlson or I don't know, right?
Like a Carlson. Well, I guess if you look at it, you're going Shesterkin versus Tristan Jarry, right? Like you're betting on the goalie in this situation.
That's what I was trying to stay away from that comparison because like obviously, but like even looking at those two defensemen, like sure Carlson had 100-point season last year. We all know that, but like right now you have to pick one or the other. It's Fox or Carlson.
Oh, it's Fox all the way. But so my thing though is that with the Rangers are so top heavy.
Right. That's
not that Pittsburgh isn't. It's just that so if you had to line up these cores and you go Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, Letang, Carlson versus Fox, Panarin, Zibanejad, Trouba, Shesterkin, like is that fair? Those are like top five. Like I like that Pittsburgh core.
Yeah, that's
in
fair.
terms of like high end talent. I don't know. Like obviously Fox and Shesterkin are probably more valuable than any player on the Pittsburgh, but I take like those 5 Pittsburgh players over the third top player on the Rangers. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of just betting on Panarin.
It's a coin flip too because I can easily see it going your way too. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and then Washington is just all eyes on Ovi. Yeah. Every time he scores, that's when you'll see the Capitals in the news. If not, I probably wouldn't hold my breath with reading about Washington Capitals and winning games.
Yeah, and that's why I have the Islanders above them too, because I still feel like the Islanders are trying to push ahead, whereas like the Capitals just feel like they're trying to get guys to give Ovi a shot still. Like I don't know.
It feels like the Islanders are building their roster for better or worse to try to win hockey games. Washington, I think, is just trying to ice a team so that Ovechkin can chase goals.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously Washington's trying to win, but I don't think they're necessarily like the Islanders are actively trying to acquire guys to win. I think the Capitals are happy with just like stay in the course for the next 3 years until Ovi breaks the record, and
maybe
then
pick up a lottery pick here and there.
Yeah, kickstart the rebuild after that. But like I'm like if I see Washington trade futures for players this year, I'd be absolutely shocked.
Like the Rasmus Sandin trade was golden for them. Like that should be the kind of stuff they look for going forward.
Yeah, that was an awesome trade. They traded the Boston pick, the Boston first for and like Eric Gustafsson for Rasmus Sandin. That was a home run trade for them. That'll actually you know what? That'll be interesting to see how Sandin does in Washington. Okay, let's move on to the West. I think the West is a lot more interesting this year than maybe it was last year. Looking at the Central first, I've got Dallas 1, Colorado 2, Minnesota 3, Winnipeg 4, Nashville, Arizona, St. Louis, Chicago on the outside of the playoffs looking in.
Okay, I was trying to follow that, and like up to a certain point, it was all the same, and then I think the bottom half of ours.
I got Nashville 5, Arizona 6, St. Louis 7, and Chicago 8.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty much similar. I got Dallas 1, Colorado 2, Minnesota 3, Winnipeg 4. I got St. Louis 5, and then Arizona 7 or 6, and then Nashville 7.
Nashville 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
Chicago 8. Yeah.
See, I see Nashville in the same way. I think that maybe you see the Rangers in that Like you look at that Shesterkin and Fox duo, and you're like, holy shit, that's gonna like carry games. And for
Mm,
Nashville, I see Saros and Yossi, and I'm like, they're gonna win games because of those two
right.
guys. Um,
Yeah, I just see them in such a transition period. I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know if
they
that's
are.
going to continue into this year or if Trotz is going to like try to send it or not. It's just
I
weird.
I like
I get a weird vibe.
I like the idea of Andrew Burnett behind that bench
Yeah, me too.
because he's a very like offense oriented coach. Remember that Florida team that he was the
Hmm.
interim coach for the whole year? Why Florida ever let him go is absolutely insane.
Hmm.
Um, although I guess they went to the Stanley Cup Final. But like Nashville's moves, I didn't love. Like they signed Ryan O'Reilly to a 4-year deal.
Yeah, yucky.
I think they made one other signing, but I can't quite remember who it was. But after trading away who'd they trade away last year? They traded Nino Niederreiter. They traded Ekholm. They traded maybe one other. They traded Johansson in the offseason. Like this team is very different, right?
Hmm.
And I guess there's just no way to know what that looks like. The D will be there. The goaltending will be there. It's just that will the scoring be there? I don't think Philip Forsberg had a good year last year because he's kind of the guy on the forward group now, right? Not that he wasn't. Um,
Yeah.
Matt Duchene got bought out. Obviously, remember that. So Philip Forsberg only played 50 games last year. He had 42 points, 19 goals. So he had a solid year, but he was injured. But I
Yeah,
don't know. Like, does
I
a
think you,
team whose best forward is Philip Forsberg does that do anything for you?
yeah, I don't know, man, because like I just pulled up their roster on Cap Friendly too. The depth is horrendous. Like
It's
their top
bad.
line is going to be what Forsberg, um, O'Reilly, maybe like,
I
and
think
then
O'Reilly's their number one center heading into the year.
yeah, like there's no one else that would even really compete for it. You got Cody Glass, Thomas Novak is your other centers. There's just nothing, and then you have Yossi on the back end, and aging McDonough. Even Yossi's at 33 now.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Yossi's not young.
mhm. So
Honestly, okay. Now that I mentioned the D core, I don't like the D core.
no.
Yossi, McDonough, Barry, and Shen. I don't know where Dante Fabro figures into this top
Hmm.
six, but if you're looking at the top four highest paid guys on this blue line, you've got 33 Yossi, 34 McDonough, 32 Tyson Barry, 33 Luke Shen.
Yeah,
Oh man.
it's tough.
And then they gave O'Reilly a 4-year deal. They signed Nyquist. That's the other forward I was thinking of. But like, man,
Was
it's
Shen?
such a
Did they just bring in Shen too, or?
yeah. They signed Shen.
Yeah, okay, so that was the other one. Like, why would you sign Shen when you could have elevated Fabro? But
So they signed Shen, they signed O'Reilly, they signed Nyquist. Those were their three ads.
yeah, right.
Um, they've got 4 million retained on Ekholm, or sorry, on Johansson. They bought out Matt Duchene, who has oh my god, Matt Duchene had 3 years left. Why did they buy out Matt Duchene?
I don't know. It was so weird. And then like I know you said you don't like their defense core, but have you been able to see their list of forwards?
No, their
Like
forwards is worse. Yeah, okay, I might
there's
have
maybe a
Nashville.
second line and then three fourth lines. Like it's
Wow.
so bad.
Yeah, holy crap. Okay.
Yeah.
I might have had Nashville too high. I've always just had Nashville in my brain as being like
Right. And I think when I was looking through the lineups for a few of these, I saw that and I was like, oh boy. So
Saros, though, dude. They're going to be relying on him
yeah,
so much this year.
yeah,
That'll be a
absolutely.
goalie to watch if the goalie market heats up.
Mm-hmm.
Not to
It'd be
mention Winnipeg. So, not to mention the other swing team in this division is the Winnipeg Jets because depending
yeah.
on how they start the season, may decide where they end up in these standings. Like if they get to fourth, it probably means that they didn't trade anyone,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Yeah.
like I think you had them fourth too. But like
Mm-hmm.
if American Thanksgiving hits and this team's in sixth, which they very well may be, like you gotta start looking at like teams like Boston and New Jersey for guys like Scheifele and Hellebuck. Like this could be a team that looks drastically different come February, March for trade season.
Yeah, and I think it probably should. Like
Yeah, it
if they're
should.
committing to this transition, what it seems like Barry Trotz is like,
No, in
um,
Winnipeg.
oh sorry, Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think they should just like It sounds like Hellebuck might be interested in staying. Like, what would you
Oh.
sign him to if?
See, I just don't like why
I
keep him if I'm Winnipeg?
I know. Like,
Why
it's
would I?
so strange because that core that's there right now is pretty damn decent, right? But
Is it still though?
I think so. Like with
Like
Hellebuck, Ehlers, Connor, um,
and Shifley?
well, Scheifele's probably going to be gone too, right? At some point.
Yeah. So, but okay. So then, just like Connor and Ehlers as your top guys, I just don't love it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do. It's so weird.
It's brutal because obviously they're going to try to win this year. Because if they weren't going to come into this year with an approach at winning, then Shifley and Hellebuck would have been traded by now.
Yeah.
It's tough because like I don't know what do you do? Like if you trade Hellebuck, then all of a sudden you've got this like half decent forward group just like kind of hung up to dry, because then it's like, okay, do we start taking trade calls on Nick Ehlers and Kyle Connor now?
They're in like the exact same position. Well, maybe not exact same, but a similar position to Columbus a few years ago when they just sent it with all of their UFAs, right?
Yes, they just kept all of their UFAs and then beat Tampa in the first round.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if Winnipeg does that, that'd be kind of cool. But at the same time, you can argue that Columbus, like, yeah, they swept Tampa, and that's like their franchise's defining moment at this point. So do you really trade that back? But like, imagine the amount of prospect capital they could have gotten for Bobrovsky, Panarin. But was it just Bobrovsky and Panarin at the time? I think like
those and Duchesne and Dzingel.
No, they acquired Duchesne though, didn't they? Like they went out and got Duchesne.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
So instead of
this is just letting guys go. But they doubled down though, is what I'm getting at.
They doubled down. Like they traded assets for Duchesne instead of trading away Panarin.
Like, do you see Winnipeg doubling down in this scenario?
No,
probably not.
So, but it depends. Like if they're in fourth place come the new year, like do they look at adding to push in, or do they kind of hedge and either just hold course, or do they trade away their UFAs if they're just on the outside or sort of on the periphery and then just kind of topple out of the play? I don't know. Winnipeg's gonna be interesting. I'd lock in that top three though. Like I think Dallas, Colorado 1, 2, and then Winnipeg Minnesota at 3.
Also, we both didn't really hesitate to put Dallas at 1, eh?
No, not at all.
They're wagon.
They are
wagon.
I've got, spoiler alert, I've got them winning the cup this year. And then it's funny, like the bottom of this division last year was Arizona, Chicago, obviously, right? But this year it's going to be a very entertaining bottom, at least, with Bedard and Chicago, and then Arizona's got some sneaky, sick little players coming up there.
Arizona could be fun. Like when I first put this list together, I initially put them 7, and I was like, whoa, wait, this roster is definitely better than Nashville. And like, if Winnipeg sells off, there's maybe a 15% chance they make the playoffs.
Arizona could finish 5th in this division.
Yeah,
they could.
Their roster is so much better than it was last year.
Yeah, it is so much better. The additions of Zucker and Dumba, I think, are massive. Gives them a ton of depth, seemingly. And who?
Oh, what's his face? Defense that's going to run the power play.
Sean Jersey
and Cooley coming in.
I grabbed him in fantasy.
And like they're going to be a fun team.
Power play is going to be like Keller, Cooley, Schmaltz, Jersey, and someone. So probably Zucker, probably Jason Zucker.
The other rookie there, I never know how to pronounce his name.
Michelli or something. Matthias Michelli.
Yeah.
Arizona could finish 5th. Yeah. I think St. Louis is going to suck. I think St. Louis might suck so bad that they like actually take trade calls on like Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas.
Oh yeah.
Because those guys were just signed to massive deals, but are those guys that you want on your rebuilding team paying them $8 million? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think St. Louis could be a shit show this year. Let's move on to the Pacific, which is maybe the second strongest division in the league now. After coming into last year thinking it was maybe the worst division and it wouldn't even be particularly close, we saw massive improvements from teams like Vegas and Edmonton,
Mm.
and Seattle, not to mention. But I think divisions might look a little different for this time around. So I've got Edmonton at 1. I've got Calgary at 2.
Whoa.
I'm back on Calgary. I think they have
Whoa.
I think they have a big bounce back year. I think Markstrom actually is good because that's, I think, the sneaky thing about why Calgary was so bad last year is Markstrom was awful. But that's a
Mm-hmm.
guy who, if you catch him in the right year, he'll be top 5 in Vezina.
Mm-hmm.
And he's he's probably the best voodoo goalie out there, right? Like most
Yeah.
your top 5, top 7, 8 goalies are like pretty much good every year, no matter what. Markstrom's
Mm-hmm.
just on the periphery of that, where he goes year to year. Like he'll have good year, great year, shit year, good year, great year, shit year, and I think he's like lined up for like a good to great year. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
see maybe Huberdeau bounces back too. So I've got Calgary at 2, Vegas 3, LA 4, Vancouver at 5. I've got Seattle dropping to 6, and then Anaheim and San Jose at the bottom.
Interesting. Okay. This
What do you
is
got?
like the one division we're very different than, I guess. All right. So I got Vegas at 1, Edmonton at 2, Los Angeles at 3, Seattle at 4, Calgary at 5, Vancouver at 6, and then Anaheim and San Jose.
Okay, so very different.
Very
See,
different.
I've got Vegas approaching the regular season how Tampa has approached the regular season in previous years.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like, rest our guys, we don't care, no going balls to the wall, let's just get in. Like, I think Mark Stone plays 55 games. If he's even, like, healthy for the whole year, like, I bet you he takes
Yeah.
a lot of nights off. Like, he, like, kind of Kawhi load manages it.
Yep.
I
That's
think
fair.
I don't think Jack Eichel eclipses 70 games, not even due to, like, I just think Vegas takes, like, a rest approach to this
That's fair.
season to
Yeah. And
just,
I didn't
like, get
really
in.
put that into account. But yeah.
I think it's an aging roster that just won a cup and realized what it takes to win a cup, and I don't
Mm.
think they now go like balls to the walls in the regular
I
season.
think in my head,
Because
why I
remember,
did this, I'm going to give a
okay,
little explanation why I put them first. Because
okay.
I've been seeing people constantly put them 3 and 4 in the division. I think that's super disrespectful.
See, I disagree. I disagree with that entirely
Because their
because
roster is still so damn good.
it's so good, but
Like
I think
they're running back the whole Stanley Cup
it's
champion
the
team.
whole team. It's insane. They lost Riley Smith, but now they've got
That's it.
Barbashev for the whole year.
Yeah.
I
I don't know.
don't
I
know.
love their
Like,
team. I love it.
I'm not putting them at third because of their talent level. I'm putting them at third because of how I think they
Yeah.
approach the regular season.
And that makes sense too. It
Because
does.
like people saw Florida last year. They just got in and they wheeled all the way to the final.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa was a regular season juggernaut prior to their 2 cups, right?
Mm-hmm.
They won the
Yep.
cup their first year as the 2 seed in their division when they beat Toronto in that 2-3 matchup. Last year, or not last year, like 3 years ago or whatever, like 2021 cup, they were the 3 seed in the division and beat Toronto, who's the 2 seed in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
So Tampa's 2 cups came with them as not the highest seed when they were consistently like President's Trophy ish prior to that and could never win the playoffs. Boston last year, like, what happened there?
Yeah.
3 years ago, I think Colorado won the President's Trophy and then lost in like the second round or something. I think that was the year Tampa won it. But then the following year, Colorado won it in 2022 as like the 2 seed in their division. So I don't know. I feel
Yep.
like
Makes sense.
Vegas is gonna back into a playoff spot, kind of like how Tampa has approached it, and then
Yeah.
I don't know. Be
Maybe
healthy
it was
and go
more
off.
of an emotional decision than a logical decision, but I saw the disrespect, and I think that team is going to be so good again.
In terms of talent level, like Vegas is the best team in that division.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Edmonton is going to be coming out of the gate swinging.
Yeah,
I think
you're
it's
not
going to be
wrong.
ridiculous. I think Edmonton is going to run away with a President's Trophy this year if everyone stays healthy.
Really?
I do.
Okay.
But that doesn't always mean good things for the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
then
you're really down on the Kraken, eh?
I just I don't know if I'm necessarily down on them as much as I am just like LA got better.
Right.
This is a big year in Vancouver, and I think
Mm-hmm.
they have that new coach bump all
Right.
the way up to 5th place. Like I could see Vancouver being the last team in the playoffs, and then only the Central having no wild card teams.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, looking at this again, I might have Seattle one spot too high, but I don't know. I
but
think they're going to be a good team again.
I think they're gonna be a good team, but I think they're gonna miss. Like I think what didn't they have like a night? Didn't they have a ridiculously high shooting percentage last year? Like historically good.
Yeah, and they did lose a bunch of depth. So maybe if I could go back,
And
I'd switch
Grubauer's
Calgary and
still
Seattle.
there.
Yeah, but I'll stick with my
So
conviction.
here's my thinking: is Grubauer is still there.
Yeah.
They lost depth. The shooting percentage I think was like historically good last year for them. So I like that has to regress. And
Mm-hmm.
then unless like I think Seattle's trajectory this season is very intertwined with whether or not Matty Beniers becomes a star or not.
Yeah.
Because that's their timeline, right? Like as soon as he
Mm-hmm.
breaks out as an elite two-way center, that's when Seattle can break out. Because right now they don't have that top end talent that you really need, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like Shane Wright was just sent back down too. So
Yeah, and so I think we're a year or two away from seeing Seattle be like insanely good. And I'm talking like Beniers is at a point a game or more, and then Shane Wright comes up and is that like wicked second line center if his
mm-hmm.
development goes right. But I think right now, with Beniers is probably more of a 60 to 70 point guy, which is not a high end number one center by any means. I think we're
Yep.
looking at another year or two for Seattle because they were a wild card team last year too, and they upset Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my mentality with Seattle. I love the
Yeah,
team. I really like
that
what they
makes
have
sense.
going, but I think they're a couple years away from being like a consistent playoff team. And someone has to
Breaking
miss out
news.
for, oh no, what happened?
Ottawa Senators release veteran Josh Bailey from the PTO.
Oh, Ryan, I thought that was going to be something important. That
Nah, I'm
sucked.
sorry. I thought that was important.
God damn. Wow. Okay, so Sens practice lines this Sunday morning. They've
Oh,
got
we don't have to go through the whole thing. I was just trying to make a joke.
I just want to look at what their roster is. So they've got Chartier on the third line center. They got Greg at second line center. Oh my god, this team would be so good if they could just.
No, it's literally going to be the lineup I tweeted out yesterday. But ew.
Man.
Okay, we can get back.
Norris is skating on D with Gannett right now.
Ew.
What is up with that? Why doesn't he just fucking practice? Okay. Anyway,
Sorry for the distraction.
So that's our regular season. Okay, hold up. Who are your two wildcard teams then in the West? Mine are LA and Vancouver.
Okay, then I guess I got Seattle and Calgary.
Okay, that's
because I think it's gonna be
fair.
5 from Pacific.
I think Pacific's gonna be really good this year. I think it's gonna be really good. Besides those bottom two teams, like those bottom two teams are going to be the basement of the league, but then like those top 6 is going to be a battle.
Mm-hmm.
I could see the Pacific having 6 teams with more than 90 points. Put it that way. Okay. For playoffs, all I did was an Eastern Conference matchup for the final, a Western Conference final, and a Stanley Cup final.
I don't think we did wildcard teams for the East. Who are your wildcard teams?
I said Buffalo and then flip a coin between Tampa and the Rangers. I'll probably lean Rangers.
Okay.
I think Tampa and the Rangers like move into like 7, 8, 9, 10 seed territory. What about you?
I've got Pittsburgh and Ottawa.
Okay, that's fun. That's a fun wild card teams. Okay, what do you got for an Eastern Conference final matchup?
Did you say yours already?
No.
Okay, you go first.
So I've got Carolina beating Boston in the Eastern Conference final this season.
Interesting.
So I've got Boston coming out of that Atlantic quadrant, and I've got Carolina coming out of their Metro quadrant.
Interesting. Okay, I think I'm definitely going to go with Carolina as well. And I'll go to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Wow. Leafs homer. That's crazy. I think that's going to... I don't know. Dude, I'm so sick of talking about Toronto now.
I know, me too.
The fact that they didn't do anything over the offseason is so exhausting.
I mean, they did stuff, but
they didn't do anything important.
Yeah.
Like I guess
I still think they're the best team in that division by far.
They are, but they didn't do anything with their core. They just they're running it back again, so I just don't feel the need to talk about them until April.
Okay, but you asked me for a team. I gave you a team.
No, I know. I'm just trying to make fun of you. Okay, Western Conference. I've got Dallas over Edmonton in the Western Conference Final.
Ooh.
I
think I was going to go the exact same, to be honest.
I've got Edmonton losing to the Stanley Cup winner for the third year in a row.
Oh, that would be so demoralizing.
It'd be so brutal.
I was going to go the same, but to switch it up, I'll say Dallas, Vegas.
Dallas, Vegas
back there. Yeah.
That's what it was this past year.
Oh, fuck.
Dallas...
No,
Dallas,
okay,
Vegas.
It won't be the same then. I don't know. I honestly think the same as you, but if I were to switch it up, then we'll go Colorado, Vegas then.
Dallas is so wait, what?
I just want to have a different pick.
Did you just go Colorado now?
Yeah. And okay. I don't want it to be the same as last year.
Dallas is so sneakily such a good team.
Oh, they're such a wagon, man. You look at their team, it's stacked from top to bottom.
Matt Duchene is going to go off so hard, and it's kind of crazy.
It's on a $3 million contract?
Yeah, it's absurd. And he's going to put up 60 points. He's going to play in the top 6 with those guys. Jamie Benn had 70 points last year. Did you know that?
Yeah.
He had such a good year. And just the fact that Dallas, okay, I need to gush over Dallas for a bit because we probably did this 2 or 3 times last year too. This is my favorite team in the West right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they went from the Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, John Klingberg, Ben Bishop core seamlessly transitioned. They went to a cup final with that core. Remember in 2020, the bubble, they seamlessly transitioned Joe Pavelski into the mix, who is now a part of this 2017 draftee core of Jason Robertson, Miro Heiskanen, Jake Ottinger, and now that those guys are entering their prime, their mid-20s, Rupe Hintz in there too. Rupe Hintz, Joe Pavelski, who's in his late 30s but is still dominant, Jason Robertson, Miro Heiskanen, Jake Ottinger. And now they're bringing in another wave of guys. They've got Wyatt Johnson coming up. They've got, what's his face? Logan Stankoven pushing for the roster. They've got these guys on D what are their names? Niels Lundqvist and Thomas Harley. They've got guys on guys on guys just coming into the system, and it's actually insane.
Yeah, I don't know what their 12 forwards are going to be, but their top 9 is what? Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, Rupe Hintz, Jason Robertson, Joe Pavelski, Matt Duchene, maybe Dadonov, and Wyatt
Mason
Johnson,
Marchment, all of these guys.
Mason Marchment, all of those are not elite players, but you want those on your contending team. So it's also fun to just see Dadonov get slided into that core and still kind of work. He was kind of successful when he came over last year, right? I remember him getting a couple goals at least.
Yeah, he was. They re-signed him kind of thing.
He
was good enough to earn another contract with them.
Yeah, that's just funny after seeing this in Ottawa.
I think I drafted Wyatt Johnson in fantasy this year. I think he goes for 60 points and becomes a second line center there. I think he goes off. They've got I was just looking at it. They've got who's the other guy? Are you looking at their cap friendly right now?
Yeah, I'm on their cap friendly, yeah.
Is Logan Stankoven supposed to make that team?
Not from what I'm looking at, no.
Okay, that's because he's going to be good, right? He's supposed to be
cap friendly
good.
Isn't really roster projections. I'll check Daily Faceoff.
Okay. I was just on their cap friendly, so I'll bring it back up. I was looking at one name. He was a 23-year-old. It's Ty Dellandrea. I think he was solid last year.
Yeah, he's projected to be on their 4th line right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. So Logan Stankoven is signed to his ELC. And he's 20, so he'll be at least in the AHL. He seems like the type of guy to just light up the AHL and push.
Yeah.
Because his his junior career was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Stankoven? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
So
sure, yeah.
in 2021-22, he had 104 points in 59 games. That was his draft +1 season. This past year was his draft +2 season. He had 97 points in 48 games for the Kamloops Blazers. That's over 2 points per game in the WHL.
The guy is good.
The guy is good. The only thing is that he's small, so that's the only reason I could see him like taking a little longer to get to the NHL until he's a little bit stronger and more developed. But that's another guy that can come up for Dallas and be a game breaker. And Dallas is like
Absolutely.
constant flow of their own draft picks making the NHL roster is just so cool.
Yeah, they've been killing it over the last like 5 years. It's kind of been unmatched.
Sneakily, right? Like they keep on winning rounds, and I think this might be the year for them. So that being said, Stanley Cup Final, I've got Dallas beating the Carolina Hurricanes in the Stanley Cup Final. Another matchup of like very southern markets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, what did I say? I guess I went Colorado, Vegas in the West. So I'll go Colorado, Carolina.
Beating Carolina in the final?
Yeah.
That'd be a fun final, dude.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun
That would
fun
be
final.
super fun. I just want Colorado to get back up there. They have too much talent to not win like a second cup.
It's such a bummer about Landeskog. I wonder if he comes back for playoffs for them.
Mm-hmm. I hope so.
Like a Kucherov situation. He'll have missed 2 full NHL seasons by then. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see Colorado get back. Having them lose in the first round was such a bummer last year.
Mm-hmm.
What was I going to say? Imagine how much sicker Carolina would be if they'd have acquired Meyer rather than New Jersey.
Yeah.
Remember that was a thing.
I feel like that's always a thing with Carolina. They're like always in the rumors with the big players. They'd be like, oh, imagine how sick they finally get this game-breaking player, and then they never do.
I wonder if they'll do something big. I was looking at, I was trying to predict for the Athletics, like, season prediction things. I was like looking at players who might get traded in the next year. There's not a lot of huge names coming up in free agency, so I'm excited to see where some of the trade rumors come up. Besides Winnipeg, outside of Winnipeg, Calgary's got some names actually too. Okay,
one that's kind of interesting that I've heard a couple times the last couple days is Couture in San Jose.
What did he do this past season?
I'm not sure. But that would be like one of their big names left.
67 points in 82 games last year. That's 27 goals, 40 assists. Ooh, let's play a game called Let's Look at San Jose's Cap Friendly. Logan Couture is on the books for 4 more seasons at $8 million at 34 years old. I don't see it. I do not see it.
I'm also so curious to see how the cap raise affects teams' mentalities this year.
So true. Like acquiring guys with more than a year on their deal.
Yeah, because like now we know it's going to be a $4 million hike pretty much no matter what.
That's crazy. That's a huge deal actually. There might be some ambitious teams now at the deadline with like the extra money coming in. Damn. Okay, let's move on. Let's wrap up with some award predictions. Let's go.
Sure.
Hart Trophy. We're both gonna have the same one. That'll be Mr. Connor McDavid. Let's
sir.
go to the Norris next. Ryan, who do you got for the Norris Trophy?
Yeah, this one I just wrote down in maybe 2 minutes ago as we were discussing his team, and I saw how many points he had last year, and I'm going with one Heiskanen.
You going Mira Heiskanen?
I'm going Mira Heiskanen.
I'm going with another first-time Norris one. I'm going Rasmus Dahlin.
Ooh.
He needs a contract. Like
I love
he's coming up as an RFA next year. That's going to be an 8-figure contract per season. And I think he goes crazy and gets like a massive deal from Buffalo.
Yeah, that would be so fun.
Yeah, and if I'm Buffalo, I'm giving that guy whatever he wants. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, if he asks for like 10.5, 11 million, you've got Tage Thompson and Cousins signed at 14 mil down the middle for the next 7 years. Go splurge on your like first guy you've had as part of this rebuild.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rocket
No,
Richard,
I didn't even realize that Heiskanen had like 73 points last year.
he was so good. He
I
was
did
so
not know
good.
that.
He's just not flashy. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's just not flashy.
But like if he can
Rock,
put up 70, 80 points and still play
Oh.
like that, I think he's definitely going to be able to win a Norris Trophy in his career.
and Dallas is going to be like good enough that they'll get the attention necessary
Yeah.
for like some award buzz talk.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Jason Robertson got Hart Trophy votes last year.
Yeah.
Like I think he was probably top 5. Rocket Richard, I've got Leon Draisaitl winning his second career Rocket.
Ooh. I went Matthews.
Okay.
I think he's going to bounce back to the top of the league.
Yeah. What was he at last year? He scored over 40, but he had the bum wrist.
Yeah.
He had a quote unquote down year, putting up like mid 80 points and like 40 goals.
I know.
Art Ross, I've got McDavid. I'm sure you've got same. Vezina, I've got Ilya Sorokin claiming his first Vezina trophy.
I went Shesterkin.
Okay.
Because I think it's going to be one of the two, and
two.
I think Shesterkin is going to get into the playoffs, and Sorokin's not, and that's going to be a difference.
Okay, that's fair. So that'd be Shesterkin's second Vezina. Does Vasilevsky have 2 Vezinas? I don't think so. I think he got robbed the one year by Fleury, right?
Maybe, yeah. I never pay attention to goalie stuff. It's bad.
Vasilevsky has just the one Vezina. That's crazy.
That's crazy. That is nuts.
In 18-19, he won it. So that's the year they won the President's Trophy and swept in the first round. He should have won it in 2020-2021 in the shortened season where you only played teams in your division. He went 31-10-1 with a .925 save percentage in 42 games on a 56 game schedule. So he played.
Oh my god!
He played 75% of the games. But Fleury won it that year, and I want to see what Marc-Andre Fleury's numbers that year, because I know, like in my brain, I know that Vasilevsky was robbed, and it was very much like a narrative thing for Fleury to win it because he had never won one.
Right, the old Doughty over Carlson thing.
Yeah, so 2020-2021 with Vegas, Marc-Andre Fleury started 36 games, which is 6 less than Vasilevsky, but his numbers were solid. So he went 26-10 with a 1.98 goals against average and a .928 save percentage.
Okay.
So maybe Vasilevsky wasn't robbed, but I'd like to see Vasilevsky have 2 Vezinas on his
Yeah, it ain't gonna
trophy
happen
kit
this
right
year,
now.
though.
But he's got 2 cups, so he can probably wipe his tears with that. Okay, Selke Trophy, who you got?
I got Nico Hischier.
Is that going to be the pick for the next 15 years?
Probably.
Like Bergeron's gone, Hischier finished second last year, so now Hischier's going to slide in and be the Selke guy for the next decade.
Probably.
Yeah,
maybe Anze Kopitar sneaks one more out here before takes over.
We'll see. I also said Hischier. It felt boring. It's probably going to be boring for the next 10 years. Usually the NHL just picks someone and they win Selkies. First it was Datsuk, then it was Bergeron, and then now it'll be Nico Hischier. Calder Trophy. I've got Logan Cooley. I'm all in on this guy. I think he puts up like 60 plus points this year on a good Arizona team.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a historically awesome Calder Trophy race though between Logan Cooley and Connor Bedard.
Yeah, I'll go Bedard, but I definitely think it's going to be a very fun year with those two, Fantilli, couple others in the mix as well. It should be a really fun year to watch rookies.
It's gonna be sick. Devin Levi in there too.
Yeah.
Like I think he's gonna get so much Calder attention because Buffalo's gonna be competitive and he's the guy for them.
Mm-hmm.
I also drafted Logan Cooley in fantasy, so I'm just like kind of all in on the Cooley train right now. And I know you've got Bedard, so that'll be fun. A fun race to watch. And then for the Jack Adams, I've got the Buffalo head coach Don Granato taking it. This has become a team award almost more than anything because it just goes to the coach on the most surprising or most improved team. And I just kind of was picking a team that didn't make the playoffs last year that's I think will make it this year, and it landed on Buffalo.
Yeah, I thought I'd find this answer somewhere throughout the pod, but I'm going to go with a kind of a lame answer. I'll just go Peter DeBoer with Dallas.
Has he won it with Dallas?
I don't know if he has before.
I'm checking.
That's a stupid pick by me, but
no, I'm just checking because
I want it. Because typically you're right. It's one of those teams that gets back in that's been out for a while or whatever the case, the narrative. But I just don't see like
Pete
DJ
DeBoer
Smith is not going to get it.
Pete DeBoer has never won a Jack Adams trophy.
Oh, really? He's definitely been nominated, I feel like.
So honestly, Ryan, if Dallas has a crazy year, I could see them. I could see him getting that.
All right, I'll stick with that then.
Because I was gonna say if he's won it in Dallas, he's also only been in Dallas the one season, which was surprising to me. I thought he had been there for longer. Mm-hmm. But if Dallas goes off, I was gonna say though, if he'd have won one in Dallas before, I think that's
If I'd missed that, then it would be.
You can't win a Jack Adams in the same place twice. That's just not how it works. Which is just so absurd. Okay, so that's our awards. Not much differences. I mean, it's tough to be very unique when you've got guys like Cale Makar and Connor McDavid and.
I mean, Austin we were Matthews as different as we could be. With
I guess, but like we had
like
4 awards that were the same. It was the same. It's like one guy or the other for each award. So it's kind of, I don't know. Hopefully something crazy happens. I need someone to shake up this this player dynamic in the NHL. Like Bedard needs to go and be like a top 5 player in the next 2 years, so we can start talking about someone other than McDavid, Makar, McKinnon, Draisaitl, and Matthews. Yeah, honestly. Absolutely. So. Okay, do you have anything else? We creeping up on an hour now with just prediction talk, so I didn't realize we'd get that far.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's too much else. Preseason is wrapped up now. The regular season gets underway Tuesday night.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for that first. I'm so excited for that Pittsburgh-Chicago game.
I know. I'm so excited to see Bedard finally just like in primetime action.
Line up against Crosby. It's going to be so good. All right. Sick. Let's hit the outro. Let's wrap up this pod. Episode 34, Prediction Extravaganza. That's going to be the title, actually.
Amazing.
It's going to be the title. And I hope everyone enjoys some turkey today. Whoever listens today, I doubt anyone listens today. But...
See ya.